Good morning. Thank you for joining me again. We're in Colossians chapter 1. And today we're going to look at verse 17 and 18. And he is before all things, and in him all things consist. And he is the head of the body, the church, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he may have the preeminence. And just to remind you, Paul has been speaking about the supremacy of Christ, that he is the preeminent one over all creation. All things were created through him and for him. And that also we're going to see that he is sufficient. Christ is sufficient for our salvation, to provide our every need, whether that be material or spiritual need. But here, he says in verse 17, and he is before all things, and in him all things consist. And once again, all he's doing is building on that idea of Christ being preeminent. He's before. We've seen that he described him earlier as the firstborn over all creation. And again, that's not suggesting that Christ was created. No, we see from the scriptures, all over the scriptures, that he is God the Son in the flesh. He's God in the flesh. That means that he is eternal, without beginning nor end. And we saw that by referring to him as the firstborn, he was kind of referring to the firstborn son of a family who would receive the double portion of the inheritance. He was the preeminent one, if you want, over the family. And so here he's just reiterating that he's before all things. And it could be that he's also referring to his pre-existence, that before anything was created, Christ was, or is, should I say. He is, again, like I say, he's eternal. As God, he has no beginning nor end. The Word, the living Word, the second person of the Trinity, the Son, is eternal. He's God. And so he says, in him also all things consist, or all things are held together. And that's important, because it shows us that, creation is not just dependent upon him for its beginning, but also for its ongoing existence. In some mysterious way that's beyond my understanding, Christ holds all things together. All things. If he were to let go, everything would just fall apart. All of the created order would just fall into chaos. But he holds all things together. And he says, and he is the head of the body, the church, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he may have the preeminence. And interesting, here he's speaking about the church. And when we think about church, usually we think about buildings, don't we? Beautiful buildings with spires and so on. But actually what the Bible talks about, the ecclesia, is the called out ones, the separated ones, those who have been called out, the people. It's you and I that are the real church. And we're also described as the new creation. 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 17 says, if anyone is in Christ Jesus, he is a new creation. All things have passed away. Behold, all things have been made new. And so he's already talking about the physical creation. Now he's referring to the new creation that Christ has established. And he's the head of the body. Again, the body referring to the church. The beginning, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he may have the preeminence. In the same way that the whole of physical creation depends upon God for its existence, so the church depends upon Christ for its existence. We need him. We're totally dependent upon him. We cannot be what we've been called to be without him. And again, I think this is referring to some of the issues that were going on at the time, certain groups teaching certain things and questioning the supremacy of Christ and the sufficiency of Christ. So Paul is just emphasizing that again. He's the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he may have the preeminence. And again, we know that he was raised to life, the first fruits of the resurrection. And we know that one day we also shall be raised to life, because he is the guarantee of that. And so again, I just invite you just to meditate today upon the greatness of Christ as God. God the Son incarnate, the eternal one, the invisible one, manifest in the flesh. That he is absolutely sufficient and is absolutely supreme, preeminent over all creation, over the physical creation that we live in, but also over the spiritual creation, the church of Jesus Christ. We totally depend upon him. May God bless you. Have a great day.